This is episode 1 of the series, The Teachings of Jesus That Can Transform Your Life Today. Today, we will see why Jesus chose ordinary people to change the world. There are moments when you wonder if your life can truly make a difference. You see other people moving forward, achieving great things, being recognized. And in silence, a voice inside you whispers that maybe you are just someone ordinary. Maybe you don't have anything special. Maybe no one would choose you for something important. But what most people don't know, the greatest change in history did not begin with kings, nor with the most prepared, nor with the most admired. It began with ordinary people, men who worked with their hands, who lived simple lives, neither known nor respected by the world. And even so, they were chosen, not because they were perfect, but because there was something in them that others could not see. Jesus walked among crowds, saw faces, heard voices, but he stopped precisely in front of those no one expected. And that moment, seemingly simple, changed their destinies forever. Because when Jesus looks at a person, he does not see only who they are. He sees who they can become. This means that the value of a life is not defined by its past, nor by its position, nor by what others think. It is defined by the purpose that has not yet been revealed. And perhaps, without you realizing it, this same process is happening in your own life right now. Because before everything changes externally, something begins to change internally. But there was a specific moment on the shore of a quiet sea when Jesus made an unexpected decision, and no one imagined what would happen next. In that time, Jesus was not yet known by everyone. There were no crowds following him, nor stories of miracles spreading through the cities. He walked in silence, observing, waiting. The world continued its normal course. Fishermen went out at dawn, casting their nets. Each day seemed the same as the one before. No one imagined something extraordinary was about to begin. The greatest changes are often born in the simplest moments when no one is watching. Jesus did not seek palaces or synagogues. His steps led him to a common place, where common men worked with effort, focused only on surviving one more day. Their hands were tired, their minds occupied with responsibilities, their hearts expected nothing different. For them, that day would be just another day of work. But Jesus stopped, not by accident, not by coincidence. His eyes rested on them with clear intention, as if he could see a story that had not yet begun. In that instant, time seemed to slow down. When Jesus decides to approach someone, something invisible begins to move within the soul. What was about to happen would not only transform their lives, it would transform the course of history. It all began with a simple decision to approach those the world considered ordinary. What Jesus would say next would challenge all logic and reveal a truth that can change your life today. The sun had just begun to rise over the Sea of Galilee. Golden light reflected softly on the water. The sound of small waves touching the shore mixed with the friction of nets being pulled. Simon Peter and his brother Andrew were there, focused on their work, checking every knot. Their movements were automatic, the result of years repeating the same routine. There was no expectation that anything different would happen. For them, that place represented provision. The smell of salt water, the weight of the wet nets, and the fatigue in their arms were their reality. A few meters away, other boats rested, and some men spoke among themselves, unaware. Jesus walked calmly, without hurry, observing every detail, as if that moment carried deeper meaning. He carried no symbols of power, no external signs of authority. He appeared to be just another man. But his presence carried an invisible certainty, an intention that had not yet been revealed. He stopped close enough to see their faces, their expressions, their lives reflected in their eyes. They did not yet know they were seconds away from hearing words that would break normality. Purpose does not arrive with noise or warning. It arrives in silence, in a completely ordinary day. What Jesus was about to say would change not only their destiny, but the meaning of their lives. In the midst of that seemingly ordinary scene, Jesus spoke. He did not raise his voice, nor make a dramatic gesture. He simply pronounced direct, firm words filled with purpose, "Follow me." It was not a long explanation. It was not a detailed proposal. It was an invitation that pierced through the silence and reached straight into the heart. For a moment, everything seemed to pause. The sound of the water, the movement of the nets, the nearby conversations, all faded into the background. Simon and Andrew lifted their eyes. Before them stood neither a king nor a military leader, nor someone with visible wealth. Just a man with an unexplainable conviction in his eyes. And yet something within them recognized that this moment was unlike any other they had ever lived. Because those words were not merely an instruction, they were a calling to something they could not yet fully understand. To follow meant leaving behind the safety of what was familiar. It meant walking toward the unknown, toward a future they could not control. Their nets represented their livelihood, their identity, their history. Everything they had built was there, in their hands. And yet, there was a feeling stronger than fear, the certainty that they were being invited into something greater than themselves. Jesus did not offer human guarantees. He did not promise comfort or immediate recognition. He only offered direction. And in that instant, standing before the sea that had been their entire world, they had to make a decision that would define their lives forever. Because sometimes the moment that changes everything arrives without warning. Then only those who recognize the call discover what they are truly capable of becoming. The most surprising thing about that moment was not just that Jesus called them. It was that he called them as they were. He didn't wait for them to be different or more prepared or more confident. He didn't ask them to prove their worth before choosing them. They were not religious leaders. They had no influence. They held no high position. They were fishermen, ordinary people with doubts, with limitations, with simple lives. And yet, Jesus saw something in them that went far beyond their present. He didn't look at their tired hands and see weakness. He saw potential. He didn't look at their routine and see insignificance. He saw the beginning of a transformation. Because Jesus never chose based on what someone had already achieved, but on what that person could become. That is one of the most powerful teachings of his entire life. Purpose does not begin when everything is perfect. It begins when someone decides to answer the call, even without fully understanding the path. In that instant, the value of Simon and Andrew was not in their nets, nor in their experience, nor in their past. It was in their willingness to take a step towards something greater. And that reveals a truth that many people still don't understand, that God does not seek perfect lives, he seeks willing hearts. Because the power of a life is not defined by its origin, but by the direction it chooses to follow. What seemed like a simple encounter by the sea was, in reality, the beginning of something that would reach entire generations. And it all began when ordinary people were seen with an extraordinary purpose. But the decision they made immediately afterward would reveal even more profoundly the meaning of that moment. This story is not just about them, it also speaks about you. Because often, people believe they need to become someone different before they can live something meaningful. They think they need more preparation, more security, more certainties. They wait for the perfect moment, the perfect opportunity, the perfect version of themselves. But the truth is that purpose almost never begins in perfect conditions. It begins in the midst of real life, with real doubts, with real limitations. Just as Simon and Andrew were focused on their daily routine, many people today are also concentrated on their responsibilities, on surviving, on moving forward day after day. And amidst that normality, it's easy to believe that nothing extraordinary can emerge. However, the call doesn't always arrive as an audible sound. Often it comes as an inner restlessness, as a desire to move forward, as a feeling that there is something more waiting for you. It is at that moment that you begin to perceive that your life is not destined to remain exactly as it is now, that your story has not yet reached its final form. Jesus did not choose these people because their environment was special. He chose them because they were willing to respond when the moment came. And that means your worth does not depend on where you are today, but on the direction you choose to take when a new opportunity appears before you. Because even now, in the midst of your own routine, something invisible may be starting to move. But there was an immediate reaction from those men that revealed the depth of their faith. And that decision continues to inspire the world to this day. In that instant, standing before the sea that had defined their entire existence, they made a decision that seemed impossible. The Bible says they immediately left their nets and followed him. They did not wait for an additional sign. They did not ask for guarantees. They did not return home to think it over. They left behind what was secure to walk toward what was unknown. That moment was not just a change in physical direction, it was an inner transformation. The nets they held represented more than their work. They represented their identity, past, and comfort zone. This is a great demonstration of faith, moving forward without all the answers, but with certainty of a guiding purpose. Jesus did not first show them the final outcome. He did not explain every step. He simply invited them to walk with him. And in that act of trust, their lives began to change forever. Purpose is not fully revealed at the beginning. It is revealed as you move forward. Many people wait to feel completely ready before taking a step, but transformation begins when you decide to move. Even with uncertainty, that was the moment when ordinary fishermen began to become people who would influence the entire world. And this reveals a truth that is still alive today. Your life can completely change the moment you respond to the right calling. But shortly after, Jesus would perform something that would definitively confirm who he was, and no one who witnessed it would ever be the same again. After that day, nothing was ever the same. Every step they took with Jesus revealed something new. His words had a depth that challenged everything they thought they knew, and his presence conveyed a peace that did not depend on circumstances. Even so, they still did not fully understand who he was. They followed him with faith, but also with questions. They walked with hope, but without knowing the extent of what was to come. Purpose often begins with a decision, but is confirmed through experiences that transform reality. And it was on one of those days, during a seemingly common celebration, that something happened. It would mark the visible beginning of his power. There was a wedding. People gathered, joy in the air. And suddenly, a problem arose that no one could solve. There was no human solution available. It was a simple situation from the outside, but significant for those who were there. It was then that Jesus decided to act in an unexpected way, not to demonstrate power, but to reveal meaning. What happened at that moment became the first miracle that many witnessed with their own eyes. And for those who had already followed him, it was confirmation that their decision had not been in vain. Because when you decide to move forward with faith, sooner or later you begin to see signs. Signs that strengthen your conviction. That first miracle transformed a specific situation. It revealed a truth that can still change the way you understand the unexpected moments of your own life today. But the most impactful thing was not the miracle itself. It was what that miracle represented. The story of that day by the sea reminds us of something many people forget. Great changes do not begin when everything is clear. They begin when you decide to believe before seeing the outcome. Simon, Andrew, and the others did not have all the answers. They did not know how far that path would take them, but they understood they were standing before a moment that would define their lives. And that same truth still exists today. Sometimes purpose enters your life quietly, without announcements, without obvious signs. Just as an opportunity, a restlessness, or a feeling that something new is beginning. You do not need to be perfect to move forward. You do not need to have everything figured out to take the first step. You only need to recognize the moment when faith invites you to move. Because when you choose to trust, even in the middle of the unknown, you begin to make room for something greater to unfold in your story. Maybe this is the moment you need to remember that your life is not ordinary in the eyes of God. that your story is still being written, that what seems small today can become something that impacts far more than you imagine. And just as those men responded to the call, you can also decide to respond to the purpose set before you. If this message spoke to your heart, write in the comments, "God is with me," and declare that truth over your life. Because this was not the end of their story, it was only the beginning. And the first miracle of Jesus will reveal something that can completely change the way you see the unexpected moments you face today. But there's something even more surprising. Jesus didn't just choose ordinary people. The first miracle he performed revealed something profound about his purpose. And that's what we'll discover in the next episode.